Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Sunday in Krishna consciousness. We'll give everyone time to arrive and we'll begin with invocations by chanting Jai Radha Madhava. Hare Krishna Vaishnavas. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari. Girivara Dhari. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayom Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivraja Kacharya Shtotarashat His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Founder Acharya of ISKCON and BBT is Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Good morning again, dear devotees. It's very nice to see if there's a delay on the internet. My sincerest apologies. So today we'll be reading from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Creation, chapter 13, Dhritarashtra quits home, and this is verse 41. Let's see if I can. You would think after COVID, everyone would have learned how to share a screen properly. There we go. So if you care, feel free to read along. I'll read it 3 times so that we can get the meter properly, and I'll open it up. Narada Uvacha Manchana Shuto Rajan Yadishwara Vasham Jagad Loka Sapala Yasyeme Vahanti Balim Ishitu Sam Sasamyunukti Bhutani Sa Eva Vinakti Cha Narada Uvacha Makanchana Shuchorajan Yadishwara Vasham Jagat Loka Sapala Yasyeme Vahanti Balim Ishitu Sa Samyunakti Bhutani Sa Eva Vyunakti Cha Narada Uvacha Makanchana Shuchorajan Yadishwara Vasham Jagat Loka Sapala Yasyeme Vahanti Balim Ishitu Sa Samyunakti Bhutani Sa Eva Vyunakti Cha.
I can do that rule.
Sure.
Narada Uvacha Ma Kanchana Shorajan Yadishwarasham. 1 second. Yadishwaravasham Jagat Lokha Sapala Yasyeme Bhahanti Balimi Shidhu Sa Samyunakti Bhutani Sa Eva Vinuyakti Cha. Thank you, Prabhu. Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Narada
Jai Prabhu.
Uvacha Narada Uvacha Ma Kanchana Sucho Rajan Yad Ishvara Vasham Jagat Lokaha Sapala Yasyeme Vahanti Balim Ishitutu Sa Samyunti Bhutani Sa Eva Vibhukti Cha.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Narada Uvacha Makanchana Suchorajan
Hari Hari Vaishnava.
Can you hear me, Prabhu? Narada Uvacha Makanchana Suchorajan Yadishwara Vasam Jagat Loka Safala Yashyeme Vahanti Balim Ishutu Sasamyunakti Bhutani Sa Eva Vyunakti Cha. Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari Vaishnava. Thank you. Okay, so we'll take it to the word for word now. Narada Uvacha Narada, good. Ma, never. Kanta, that means Uchaha, do you lament? Rajan, O king, yet because Ishvara Vasham, under the control of the Supreme Lord, Jagat, world, Lokaha, all living beings, Sapalaha, including their leaders, Yasya, whose, Ime, all these, Vahanti, do bear, Balim, means of worship, Ishitu, for being protected, gets together, Bhutani, all living beings, Sa, he, Eva, also, Vyunakti, disperses, Cha, and. The translation and purport are given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sri Narada said, one moment. Sorry, dear devotees. Sri Narada said, O pious king, do not lament for anyone, for everyone is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all living beings and their leaders carry on worship to be well protected. It is He only who brings them together and disperses them. Purport. Every living being, either in this material world or in the spiritual world, is under the control of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Beginning from Brahmaji, the leader of this universe, down to the insignificant ant, all are abiding by the order of the Supreme Lord. Thus, the constitutional position of the living being is subordination under the control of the Lord. The foolish living being, especially man, artificially rebels as an asura, or lawbreaker. A living being is placed in a particular position by the order of the Supreme Lord, and he is again shifted from that place by the order of the Supreme Lord or his authorized agents. Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Maharaj Yudhishthir, or in modern history, Napoleon, Akbar, Alexander, Gandhi, Subhash, and Nehru. All are servants of the Lord, and they are placed in and removed from their respective positions by the supreme will of the Lord. None of them is independent, so as to not recognize the supremacy of the Lord. They are put under still more rigorous laws of the material world by different miseries. Only the foolish man, therefore, says that there is no God. Maharaj Yudhishthir was being convinced of this naked truth because he was greatly overwhelmed by the sudden departure of his old uncles and aunt. Maharaj Dhritarashtra was placed in that position according to his past deeds. He had already suffered or enjoyed the benefits accrued to him in the past, but due to his good luck, somehow or other, he had a good younger brother, Vidura, and by his instruction, he left to achieve salvation by closing all accounts in the material world. Ordinarily, one cannot change the course of one's due happiness and distress by plan. Everyone has to accept them as they come under the subtle arrangement of Kala, or invincible time. But there is no use trying to counteract them. The best thing is, therefore, that one should endeavor to achieve salvation. And this prerogative is given only to man because of his developed condition of mental activities and intelligence. Only for man are there different Vedic instructions for attainment of salvation during the human form of existence. One who misuses this opportunity of advanced intelligence is verily condemned and put into different types of miseries, either in this present life or in the future. That is the way the Supreme controls everyone. Narada Uvacha Makanchana Shuchorajan Yadishwara Vasham Jagat Loka Sapala Yasyeme Vahanti Balumishitu Sasam Yunakti Bhutani Sa Eva Vyunakti Cha. Sri Narada said, O pious king, do not lament for anyone, for everyone is therefore all living beings and their leaders carry on worship to be well protected. It is he only who brings them together and disperses them. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunuritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadam Tikam. Katanchana Smrite Yasmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavat Vrismitre Viparitam Syat Shri Chaitanya Namamitam. Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataram. Shri Gurun Dinataram. I humbly request your blessings today, dear devotees, so that you can see the miracle that your prayers perform. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to serve you all today, being given a chance to speak on Bhagavatam and to pay attention in a way that usually the speaker is allowed to pay attention in a special way because there's an extra prerogative, because they're appearing as a servant of the assembly of devotees. So it's always wonderful to be given an opportunity to read and to focus on the text a little more. Just thank you. The first thing that sticks out to me here are these two words, three words, makanchana shucha. Does anyone remember, or does this remind anyone of anything? Makanchana shucha. Does it ring any bells?
Who will be the last was who?
You may be
Sarvadhanam
knowing, I'm sure you do, that this same these first three words, ma kanchana shuchaha. Does that remind you of anything?
Akshay, can you hear me, boo?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh yeah, तो सर्वजनम परित्यज्य माम एकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यो.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, it's 1866 in the Bhagavad Gita. The last words of the most confidential instructions, Krishna says, Ma shuchaha. Do not worry. And by this time, the conversation has already been spoken. The Bhagavad Gita has manifested on earth. Again, it's made its appearance on earth by the time that this chapter 13 is happening. And it's interesting that Narada Muni is quoting Ma Shuchaha, but he's emphasizing Makanchana Shuchaha. So do not lament for anyone. Or do not lament, in any circumstance, or by all means. So when something's repeated by the spiritual master, many things that are said, and it's the spiritual master's mercy to repeat something so that it can stick out to us a little more. One of the first instructions that Krishna gives Arjuna actually is that he's lamenting over that, even though he's speaking wise words, he's lamenting over that which does not merit lamentation. So the Bhagavad Gita actually begins at this point of lamentation. And the Bhagavad Gita concludes with the liberation of lamentation. And here again, Narada's concluding words to Yudhishthira Maharaj are, do not lament. We lament when we have a small picture of the world, or we lament when we see the world through the perspective of limitation. or when we see the world as needing to function in accordance with our plan. But it's very silly for us to think that. Now that it's Bhagavatam class, we can speak a little philosophically about it, even though when we're out in the world, it's hard to do so. But we don't understand necessarily how just the function of our body works. And we don't all know how the function of our mind works until Krishna taught us, or until somebody goes to therapy. And what to speak of knowing how the function of someone else's mind works. In the United States, there's 326 million human minds, and how many more animal, reptilian, plant-like minds are there? And then how many are there on Earth? And how many are there in all 14 planetary systems? And how many minds are interacting with the three modes of nature on a second-by-second basis and changing the configuration of the material world at every given second? I bring it up just to humble us to, if we can't grasp just what's happening in one cosmic manifestation, what to speak of all the other multiverses, what need is there to lament that the world doesn't go according to our order, or according to our way? It's obvious that we have a controller complex, or a God complex. One of the principles of surrender is to trust Krishna, to trust that he will protect us from everything. For me personally, it's difficult not to lament when I think about all the reasons I have to lament. Personally, it becomes easier for me to not lament when I look from the other side of, well, what is the reason for me to do the opposite of lament, which is to feel jubilant? And when I think about who Krishna is, and when I think about who his devotees are, then it becomes easier for me to not lament. But personally, it's very difficult for me to approach escaping lamentation from the limitation of my material identity. But it's easy to jump into the mood or the atmosphere of jubilation and celebration when I look at myself as an object of the mercy of what Krishna, what Chaitanya, what Srila Prabhupada and the devotees have done. Everyone is under the control of the Supreme Lord. And when we have an idea of what control means in the world, it's natural that it wouldn't have a good connotation. When we have animal testing, for example, we're controlling animals in an unfavorable way. Or when one partner is being controlled by the other one, usually there's some kind of force. Or when a bull is being controlled by a lasso, there's a lot of restriction that the rope is being applied, or, around the animal's neck. And so we have a material concept of control that of that which is being controlled. But it's very interesting that, Prabhupada mentions here that beginning from Brahmaji to the insignificant ant, all are abiding by the order of the Supreme Lord. So this isn't the same type of control that we're used to seeing in the material world, where motion or mobility is limited. Look at what Krishna is letting Brahma do. Just think about it for a second. Like, when we say Krishna is Parameshvara, we are not meaning the type of controller that you and I can be. When we try to control our minds, we might have the idea of stop it from moving. Or when we control our appetite, stop it from eating. Like, our control, because we're so small, it's like the best that we can do is just make everything as small or as immobile or as dependent or stagnant as us. But Krishna is so great that his control permits for so much mobility and movement in everyone else. Brahmaji is allowed to take the cowherds and calves. He's allowed to think that he can actually outsmart Krishna. That's how Krishna's controlling him, by giving him the type of free will that makes him think that he can pull a fast one over Krishna. And that the ant, the ant is in control of its destiny, and that it's allowed to just feel like it has to follow the line, or to, grab little crumbs of sugar and give it to somebody else and just dedicate its life for working of someone else. Why it's important is because we should be Shastra Chakshus. We should learn to see what Ishvara means from the perspective of Shastra, and not from the perspective of our intelligence, or of our material intelligence and our material mind. Lately, I've been thinking about what it means to trust Krishna. We every kind of austerity that we perform, or every kind of devotional service that we perform it because we are trusting that either there's some reciprocity that's going to come out of it, or that it's a good use of our time, or that we'll be better because of it. And so there's some trust. And it's good to measure or to notice where that trust ends. We may be trusting that chanting is really good, but does our trust stop at, just chanting is good? Or does my trust continue into thinking, well, a very attentive chanting is I trust that that's better than just chanting. And more than that is just very attentive and begging and prayerful chanting, and like chanting that it's worth waking up early for. Like, I trust that sleeping less is worth it for my overall well-being. And then we get to other things, like, do we trust that the relationships that we're in are ultimately meant to benefit us? Do we trust the people around us, that Krishna has brought them in our lives for good? Or do we trust that he's brought them in our lives so that we can serve? Just today, a devotee was telling me that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's attitude with his family was that I am just the guard dog in front of this house, but in there is where Krishna's devotees live. I simply facilitate all types of services that they engage in. Do we trust that? I bring it up to your consideration because I think that it has a lot to do with lamentation. I think that when we lament, it's because we're trusting our material perspective. We're forgetting in that moment all of the past times that we've heard of everything turning out for the better for everyone that interacts with Krishna. There was the thief that was walking by Bhagavad Gita. He was seeing if there was anyone in the audience that was worth pickpocketing, and he started to listen to Bhagavad Gita, and this person's describing that lives in the forest, who has big jewels on him and huge earrings on each ear, and there's rings on every single finger with huge golden bangles and armlets and anklets. And this, the thief just stopped paying attention to everyone that was in the audience and just raised his hands. What city, by the way, is this that you're talking about? And the speaker said, oh, Vrindavan and Mathura. And he said, well, and what is the name of this boy? And he said, Krishna. Krishna's the name of this boy. And what is the way to get to this Vrindavan that you're talking about? The thief asked, and the speaker said, well, go this way, past Delhi, and you get into Mathura, and then in the district of Mathura, you will find a forest, and one of them in particular is this Sri Vrindavan, and that is where this boy herds cows. Okay. He wrote it down, and he went looking, this ill-intended person who was lamenting, I don't have enough riches. I need to do something independently. I need to figure it out myself how to do it. And then he's, trusting, I guess, his intelligence of look at where my good fortune has brought me. My good fortune has brought me to discover that there's like a boy who's probably, boy, it's hard to pickpocket from, you know, adults because they're very suspicious of everyone that gets very close to them. But children are naturally just very trusting. But it'll probably be very easy to get my hands on this piece of jewel. And in that way, he's thinking, and he goes to Vrindavan, and he goes and he sees gentleness leaning across a leaning against a tree. He's like, "Excuse me, sir," because he doesn't want to, you know, divulge too much. He's like, "Excuse me, sir, you seen a boy around here about yay high, 6, 7 years old, lots of." He's got some jewels, no big deal though. Have you seen a boy like that? Herds cows. He's like, "Oh yeah, Gopal. Yeah, Gopal Krishna. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been looking for him for 50 years." And Stephen's like, "Oh my gosh, someone else is looking for him. I better double down." So he goes out and he starts yelling, "Gopal! Krishna Gopal! Gopal!" Screaming day and night, yelling for this Krishna. Just be like, I gotta be the first one to get this kid. And so intense was his greed for a material thing, but that it was connected to Krishna. And one day he starts hearing, you know, ding, 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 and the you know, the hoofs going everywhere, the chewing, and then he walks over, and then he sees lines of cows with big humps on the back, and, you know, beautiful garlands around their ear, and every single cow's ornament had, you know, gold ornaments on the top of their uh, horns, nice little nose rings, and then in the middle of that he sees a boy with bluish skin playing a flute and all these wonderful jewels. It's like, Gopal Krishna, I found him. And goes up to him. He's, you know, just trying to be friendly with him first. It's like, "Hey boy, I see you grazing cows over there. Looks like they're pasturing a little bit. Do you have any games that you like to play?" And then, you know, Gopal thinks a little bit. He's like, "Yeah, I like to play ball." And they just start playing ball and throwing a ball to each other, or, you know, hitting it with sticks and seeing who gets the ball furthest. And, you know, the thief goes and catches it and he throws it back. Gopal hits it and goes. And then Gopal throws it and the thief gets to hit it. And then, you know, they're playing games. And the day ends and the thief he's a tactician. He's like, "I got to get this kid like really close to my confidence." It's like, "Hey, do you want to play tomorrow again?" And Gopal's like, "Yes, very much. I come here." So the next day, the thief goes and meets him, goes sees Gopal. They play tug of war this time. You know, the thief he's older and he thinks he can beat him, so he kind of like goes easy on him. And he finds Krishna is actually pulling that pretty hard, and he doesn't want to give in too easily. Fights back a little bit, and they go on playing like this until one day the thief, you know, before it was time to leave, he says, "Hey Gopal, I was wondering if you had any wanted to let go of one of those jewels over there, give it my way." And then instantly Gopal's face got very serious. And, you know, one of Krishna's qualities is that he has three things are very deep, and one of them is his voice. He said, "Oh, so that's why you have come. That's why you have come. You want this? You want this bracelet?" The thief was like, "Well, yeah. I mean, if you have so much, if it's not too much of a hassle." And Krishna said, "Okay, you like this bracelet? You take it. You want this bracelet too?" Took it off and gave it to him. He said, "How about this necklace? Here, I'll take it off and give it to you." And he just took off all of his jewelry and he put it in the hands of the thief. His eyes got so big and he was so happy with his jewels. And then when he looked up, there were no cows. There was there were no bells, no hoofs. There was no boy that liked to play ball or tug of war. And then he looked again at his jewels and he dropped them all on the floor and yelled, "Gopal! Gopal! What have I done?" He thought. "What have I done? What have I done?" He probably felt similar to Dhruva Maharaj, who had finally had darshan of Vishnu, and he's had the taste of all I've asked for is broken glass. And he kept searching for him, that thief. But the idea is that any way that we approach Krishna, if we approach Krishna with all desires or no desires or a desire for liberation, we should approach him. And we can develop trust in Krishna by listening to the stories, by listening to the pastimes, and by by seeing how he interacts with everyone. We can wait in Bhagavatam class. We can take 5 minutes. If you can, we'll take 15 if necessary, or we won't even need 15. But if you can think of one person that has not benefited more than they could imagine after their interaction with Krishna, please bring it to the discussion. Name one person who was worse off after they met Krishna or Krishna's devotee. One person who did not receive the opportunity to develop love. One person who did not understand who they were. One person who did not achieve liberation, or one soul whose life did not improve. So we should be like this, and I'm trying to be like this, and it's an effort because the mind has been speaking uncontrollably for a very long time, and no one has debated it until Prabhupada came along and started speaking against the nonsense of the mind. But it's also our service to do. It's also our service to ask the mind, like, well, where are you getting your information from? What is your bigger picture? What is your objective? And does it check out this doubt that you have? I mean, what are you trying to do to me? Where are you trying to take me? Because I would like to get to the association of the devotees. I would like to serve the devotees. Is this attitude beneficial for me serving the devotees? Is this lamentation going to do good for anyone? It's our constitutional position to serve. But right now we're serving something that's lesser than us. And it's no offense to the mind, and it's no offense to the intelligence, and it's no offense to the senses, but constitutionally they're inert matter. They don't move on their own, which is a really interesting thing. It's like because we're looking at the object of the mind, and because we're stimulating it with our consciousness, it's acting. But if we just, like a phone, if we just stimulate it because it's usable, then we can get drawn into being subservient to just moving our fingers. But if we have a purpose, if I use this phone only for my calculator app, or if I use this phone because I want to connect to the internet, because I want to give class, or because I want to share something, then it's in its proper position. So similarly, we want to remember that we're transcendental, and that we have a mission here, and the mission is to make Radha and Krishna happy. It's to make Srila Prabhupada happy. It's to make our guru happy, it's to bring everyone into Krishna consciousness, beginning with ourselves. So we have service to do, and that service is it's difficult like anything. It's just as difficult as it is to wake up, at 5 o'clock in the morning and work for a family that is perhaps not as grateful as you think they should be. It's difficult. It's as difficult to do it, in a country that's being misdirected. It's as difficult to do it in a world where there's war and violence. It's as difficult as anything, but it's difficult. It's the difficulty that belongs to us. The difficulty that does not belong to us is fighting over trends or something that won't be significant in 25 years or in 5 seconds. But what the difficulty that does belong to us is our eternal inheritance of devotional service and participation in the pleasure of Sri Krishna. So one other thing that Srila Prabhupada said here that stuck out to me: ordinarily one cannot change the course of one's happiness and distress by plan. I'm sure everyone remembers the first time they heard Srila Prabhupada say that, nobody wakes up out of bed thinking, I want to look for sadness today. It just comes. Yet it gets me every time. And that's why Prabhupada repeats this so much. that our business is not for happiness and distress. Our business is for service. So I'm very grateful to all of you for engaging me in service today, giving me an opportunity to speak from Srimad Bhagavatam. If there's any comments or questions, um, please share them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Danaraja Prabhu. Thank you for speaking on Bhagavatam today and taking your important time to be with us. Are there any questions or reflections on this verse or Prabhu's discussion?
Thank you, Jai Sachinandana Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for such nice class, Danaraj Prabhu. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Sorry, I'm driving, so I didn't know. That was a very nice pastime you shared. I was just wondering two questions, like if you remember where you heard or read it, I would like to make a note of it and keep it in my, archive or my notes. And the second question is, if you could please repeat what was the main, or not the one, or what were the main 1 or 2 or 3 points from that pastime of the thief and the jewels? If you could summarize.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your
I don't know if I was fully
attention.
audible. I don't know. The signal is maybe bad. So
I heard you. Thank you so much. I feel that in the same way that Sri Krishna Chaitanya asked Ramananda Roy certain questions, that your questions are simply an opportunity to draw more, or to have me rely more on Krishna for speaking. So thank you. I've heard that story 2 times. One was from Srila Prabhupada, where he gives a different account. He gives an account where Krishna does not give the jewels, but the thief, arguing with Krishna so much or asking him, his heart becomes soft, and eventually he develops love for Krishna. This second version that I told today, I heard from Patri Prabhu last week or 2 weeks ago at a house program. I will reach out to him and I will circle back to you because that's a very good question. It's not a very it's not cited often from Shastra, but it's told a lot, and so it would be nice to know. Thank you. Regarding the 3 main takeaways, I think about the verse of moksha, karma, akarma, udarati, that however you can approach Krishna. It doesn't matter if you desire material goods, if you're not purified yet, or if you are transcendental and you desire liberation, or if you desire nothing. In all instances, a person benefits by having relation to Krishna. The second example would be Guru Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavanji, Guru Krishna Prasai Pai Bhakti Lata Bij, that we are wandering around this cosmic manifestation in so many different lifetimes, and it's by the combined mercy of the Guru and Krishna that we get Bhakti Lata Bij, the opportunity to begin cultivating our personal, individual love for Sri Nanda Nandana. And the third point that I would take away is that everything that Krishna does is for the well-being of his devotee, including the separation that he puts his devotee in is to augment the desire that his devotee has to be with him. So those are 3 things that stuck out to me, but I would I beg that if there's something else that I missed, or if you know something that I don't, that you please share.
Thank you. That was very nice. The other thing that comes to my mind is, since he was so absorbed in Krishna, even though in an unfavorable way, not anukul, still Krishna gave him his darshan. So what I thought was, what is important is fully absorbing your mind in Krishna, whether it is favorable or unfavorable. Krishna is so kind that he even removes that condition. And this was, for example, the case with Shishupal, where he was always absorbed in Krishna unfavorably, still he got the highest destination. That was one thought that came to my mind, since you asked. Thank you.
Thank you, Paramakaruna Prabhu. Very nice.
Thank you, Prabhu. Haribol. I really like that pastime. It was making me think of the songs of the six Goswamis, how they were wandering around Vrindavan and they were calling out for Radha Krishna in separation. And you had mentioned at some point being a beggar, and I was thinking when we go to Braj and we cry out in separation, searching for Krishna. This is the way to come to Vrindavan, but as a beggar and looking, searching for Krishna. Thanks for sharing all of your thoughts and realizations. It's always a pleasure hearing from you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much. Yeah, Krishna is very kind.
Are there any other comments or reflections?
Thank you so much, dear devotees, again for the opportunity and for your feedback and reflections on how you expand the Bhagavatam. I hope everyone has a wonderful Sunday feast and a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Danaraja, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Danaraja Prabhu ki jai. Thank you very much. Hope you're all well. Please come join us on Sunday feast today. Hope you're well as well, Danaraja Prabhu in LA, and thriving in the wonderful devotee community there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.